At the end of the lesson, you are expected to identify the features of Brown Corpus using Python, visualize the features of Brown Corpus using Python, and appreciate Brown Corpus in the study of natural language processing. In this lesson, we are going to access Brown Corpus and study and examine some of its valuable features. I would like to give you this fun fact. This corpus is made up of huge texts taken from 500 sources. Can you imagine the immensity of this corpus? Despite its size, it is well defined because it is categorized by genre. So later on in our lesson, we're going to enumerate what these genres are so that it would be clear for you the different categories. So at this time, the best question to ask is, how do we access this corpus? So this can be accessed in two ways. The first way is that as a list of words, and the second is that as a list of sentences. So before we continue, hit that subscribe button to enjoy more our deep learning, machine learning, and NLP lessons or natural language processing lessons. So click the notification bell to receive more updates. So this time we're going to go into examining our Brown corpus through Python. Okay, so of course the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to import NLTK, because without this we won't be able to do the succeeding steps. This is the most imperative part of this examination of the Brown corpus. Okay, so we have already imported NLTK and excuse me, and we've already downloaded the Brown corpus. Okay, and now the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to import the Brown corpus, and for us to examine what is the content of the Brown corpus, we're going to access the different categories that can be found in the Brown corpus. So if you're going to execute this, then we can find this one. Okay, so the different categories are shown to us. So we have here the adventure, bells, letters, editorial, fiction, government, hobbies, humor, learned, lore, mystery, news, religion, reviews, romance, and science fiction. So these are just some, right? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to access the news category. Of course, we have here a lot of categories, but then we've just chosen news. We are interested in news, right? So if we're going to execute this one, then we are given this. The Fulton County Grand Jury said, then you could see here blah blah blah, or okay, so this tells us that of course there would be continuation. Okay, and because the whole of this text cannot be accessed, what we're going to do is that we're going to access to this one. Okay, so here, executing this one, we will be given this. So this is the raw text for this news category. So we have here something about Fulton. So as you could see, we cannot find any tokenization, no processes that would involve the normalization of the texts. Okay, but of course, if we would like to access the sentences of this news, that is also possible. So I think we have to do that, so we would be able to see a cleaner version of this news. Okay, so we will access, let's name this news sent. Okay, then let's just change this one into cents. Then let's execute. Okay, I think I forgot. Okay, right, so now here we have a cleaner version of the news. So here, unlike this one where when you could see the different bars and you could see like the T, the JJ, the different periods and so on and so forth, which can be glaring to our eyes, then when we execute this one, it becomes cleaner. So you could see the different sentences of this whole text are separated from each other. So you have here the Fulton County Grand Jury said Friday an investigation of Atlanta's recent primary election produced no evidence. So it's easier to read, right? So let's move on. Let's make it more exciting, right? Now this time, just like what we did before in our last lesson, lesson 3, we're going to access the different file IDs or file IDs that can be found in our Brown corpus. So I'm going to, or the link to lesson number 3 is given in the description below. So it would be easier to, or the study of this lesson would be more exciting and more meaningful if lesson number 3, which is about Gutenberg corpus, is studied. Okay, so we have here the different file IDs. So there are actually a lot from CA01. Okay, there are a lot actually. So for example, we are just interested in only one because we would like to access to it. So what we will do? So we're going to use this. Then when we do that, then we could have this one. So even Hemingway for all his. So this is the content of file ID CG number 13 or CG13. What if we're going to have 12? What is the content of CG12? Let's find out. So this is CG12. Nothing like Godot he arrived. What about 10? What is that? So the north and the south were in. So this is the content of the CG10. Now let's go back to CG13. Okay, so even Hemingway. Now we have here, if we would like to access the full text of CG13, we're going to use the function raw. So if we're going to execute that, then we have this whole text. So even Hemingway for all in his efforts, but then this kind of presentation or output is still glaring to our eye because it's not clean. So just like what we did just a while ago, what we will do is that we're going to find or access to the cleaner version of CG13. And again, what we will do here is that we're going to use the function sense. So executing this, we will have this one. So as you could see, this is much cleaner than the former one. So what if we're going to have 10? I'm interested with 10. Okay. Oops, because it's not here. What's wrong? Okay. Oh, it's 110. There's no such thing as 110. So it's only CG10. So we have here the north and the south were in greater agreement on sovereignty through all the dispute about it than were the founding fathers. So this is the content, cleaner content of CG10. Okay. So what about, let's make something more interesting this time. So this time we're going to access something that can be found in the news, which can also be found in editorial and also can be found in reviews. So to have that, I have here something which is already prepared. Then we have here this code, and then when we do that, we are taken to this. The Fulton County Grand Jury said, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the kind of text that can be found in these categories: the news, the editorial, and the reviews. What if we're going to take away, just to play around? Okay, right, let's see what happened or what will happen. So it's still the same, of course, because this can be found in news and also editorial. Okay, let's go back to all the three of them and let's execute. Okay, and just like what we did before, we access to the different sentences. Of course, that is also possible. Okay, so for example, if we would like to access to the first sentence, then we will have this. So the first sentence is, the Fulton County Grand Jury said Friday an investigation, and so on and so forth. So if you're going to compare that to this one, so it's still the same. What if we're interested in sentence number 15? So what sentence is that? So this is sentence number 15. It's quite longer. So this is one of the major items in Fulton County General Assistance Program. What if we have, okay, 17? What sentence is this? So we have this: failure to do this will continue to place disproportionate burden on Fulton taxpayers. So this is sentence number 17 in this text. Okay, so that is actually very interesting. And this time, what we will do is that we're going to go higher. So the more exciting part of corpus or Brown corpus is that it provides us some kind of method to deeper understand a certain corpus. So it actually gives us a convenient resource for us to have a systematic study of the differences between different genres. So this is actually what we call linguistic inquiry, which is also called or also known as stylistic. So this time what we will do is that we're going to compare the different modals or modal verbs that are used in different genres. Okay, so if you don't know what modals are actually words that express mood, and they can be used to express ability or inability to do something. They can be used to express possibility or impossibility of doing something. It can be also expressed to show obligation. It can be also expressed it can be also used to express excuse me, natural obligation, and of course futurity. Okay, so I suggest that you study about them, the modals, because this is actually important since we are studying linguistics too as we go along with the process. Because basically when we talk about natural language processing, this is something that involves linguistics. Okay, so now we have this prepared code for us to be able to access the different modals that are used in the category news. So we're going to find out how many are used, or how many can is used for news. But about how many could? May, might, must, will, and would. So if you're going to execute this, then we will know that can is used 94 times, could is used 87 times, may is 93 times, might is 38 times, must is 53 times, will is 389 times, and would is 246 times. Okay, so this time we're going to examine the different personal pronouns used in the category news. But of course there are actually a lot of personal pronouns. So we have the first person, second person, third person. So this time what we'll focus is just the first person, okay, just to limit our space and for simplicity. Okay, so we're going to add one more here. So we'll just copy this one. So maybe at this point you're asking, what are these personal pronouns first person? Okay, so let's name this one personal pronoun. So the personal pronouns are first person are, we have I, of course. Then we have its plural form, which is we. Then we have the object me. The plural of me is us. Then we have my, the possessive. The plural form of my is our. Then we will have mine for my, and we have the plural form of mine is ours. Okay, and then let's make this one into P. Then we have personal pronoun, personal pronoun. Then this is P. Then this is P. Okay, so let's check. Personal pronoun, P, personal pronoun. Okay, so let's execute this code. Alright, so we have it there. So we can see here that I is 0, we is 107, me is 31, us is 13, my is 43, our is 60, mine is 4, and ours is 1. So here the highest one is we. So we is used a lot of times in comparison to other personal pronouns, right? But of course you can also make your own. So for example, you could use the second person, or you could use the third person, just for your, but just to let you know, it's just additional information. So when we say personal pronoun, first person, it is the person who is talking. When we say second person, it is the person who is you are talking to, the person who is talking to. And the third person is the person who is talking about, or who is talked about. Okay, now let's make something more interesting, because it would be more wonderful if we're going to compare the different uses of, let's say, just the modals and different categories. So what we'll do is that we're going to have this one. So I have here prepared a code for you to be able to make the differences of usage for the different genres. So we have just chosen religion, hobbies, we have the editorial, then romance, then mystery, and of course we've chosen the modals. So we're going to make a conditional frequency distribution of words with respect to genre. So if we're going to execute this, then we are given this table. Okay, so I have, okay, so it's done. So we can see here that in the case of religion, can is used 82 times, good is 59 times, then for the wood it is 68 times. And if we're going to examine here, it seems like that wood here is used a lot of times, generally speaking. Okay, and if you're going to examine for the word can is usually used for hobbies, and wood is usually used for romance. What about for good? Good is used for romance too. And may is used for most often hobbies. What about must? Must is used for hobbies. Will is used for hobbies, and it is seconded by editorial. So in our future lessons, we would be able to study why we have this kind of frequency. So we will be able to know the reasons, the reasons behind these different uses. Okay, so please don't forget to click the subscribe button so that you will be updated for this kind of lesson. Okay, that would be more interesting. Okay, so what about for, let's have again our personal pronouns. Okay, let's make a table, and so that we would be able to make differentiations. So let's copy this code, and then we are going to have the personal pronouns. Let's just copy paste just to make our life simpler. Okay, excuse me. So right, let's change this one into personal pronoun. Okay, so I think we're ready. For samples, we have personal pronoun, personal pronoun. Okay, so we have the personal pronoun. So all right, okay, so I think we're good. So let's execute this, and okay, let's wait for. All right, then we have here. So for religion, I is used 155 times, but I, as you could see, is used the most in romance. Okay, and then here we is used most often for religion. What about ours? Oh, ours is the least one to use. But then this is very interesting because I here is usually used in all of these genres. Okay, so this is really very interesting, and ours is the least one to use in all of these genres. Okay, what if we're going to add here news? Would it change? Okay, let's see. Let's wait for the program. Okay, so we've added news here and it's still the same, right? So there would be some kind of interpretation when it comes to this, and the reason for that is that, and the reason for this variation of, generally speaking, is that each individual author has his or her own style in writing, not only when it comes to the choice of words, but also with respect to the number of words used in a sentence. Okay, so in our future lessons, again, let me say this once more. We are going to understand why we have this kind of distribution. After all being said and done, let's try this. Make a short program to obtain a conditional frequency distribution of WH questions for at least 5 genres of your choice. Don't forget to share your code in the comment section below, and of course, if you would like to say something or make some kind of comments, please write them down below so that we would be able to have a very rich interaction of ideas. So do you want to know more about this course? Just click the card on your right screen and you can enjoy our deep learning, mastering machine learning algorithm, and natural language processing courses. Learn and upskill for free.